Hey, Job Snatchers, another series, episode 2 with Dr. Danae Starks McGee. I'm so excited. You guys have no idea what type of gems you are in store for. I am going to let Dr. D, is what I call her, introduce herself and let her know basically what her magic is.
Hey, everybody, welcome to our Job Snatcher series. I am on here with the guru, the goat herself, Jessica. So, thank you for inviting me to come on your platform and just share a little bit about my contributions to the world. But I am a full service business consultant. I focus on solutions and strategies to really help you achieve your goals. So, no matter if you're starting, if you're growing, if you're funding, if you're trying to scale, if you're looking for creative ideas. Once we get to talking, you'll notice like I'll just be popping them off. Like, oh, you could do this. You can think about this. You could, if you can't tell, I absolutely love what I do. So I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited. People just don't have any idea just how important it is to have somebody or to know somebody who everything business wise, especially as an entrepreneur and a business owner myself, coming in contact with you has really changed my business. So
Wow.
I'm so juiced to share with our audiences your secret sauce. So to start us off, what foundational principles or beliefs drive your approach to business strategy and entrepreneurship?
So my faith always comes first, no matter what I'm doing. All business principles came from the Bible, so that's my foundation, and that's what I stand on, and that's how I pursue business and business interactions with others. And so there's a high level of integrity. There's a high level of me just kind of making sure that my brand is represented in a way that's positively impacting the world. So
I
that's
love
where I'm at on it.
Yes, I love that. How do you define success for yourself as a business owner and entrepreneur? And how does this definition shape your strategies?
So I had to like figure out what success was for me, right? Because success is kind of like relative. It really is. It's success for you is what it is. It might be different for me. So I had to like figure that out. And I don't think I've actually achieved full success just yet.
Ooh,
But
okay.
my path to success, some of the things that I believe kind of can, are stepping stones and have been stepping stones just throughout my career. A lot of that has been just the bad stuff, the stuff we hate
Right.
to go through. Um, Being able to still be here and come out on the other side, to me, that is success. Like that's still achieving life's right. Like we know
Right.
that life is life. And so it doesn't stop. And to be able to still persevere
Yep.
and overcome and realize that you can actually just blow through that mountain and overcome it and overpower it to be able to strive and reach your career goals or your business goals. You can do it when you actually accept that. Like that thought for me, it was accepting that thought that I could actually do it no matter what,
Right.
no matter how many rejections, no matter how many people said they was going to help me and didn't.
Right.
No matter how many people was like, I would love to tell you, but I don't want to tell you because now you're gonna be a competitor. Like
The
all the stuff,
gatekeeping.
all the stuff, being a woman, being a minority woman, like there's so many challenges that we go through as stepping stones to achieve success. So that's kind of how I view it. I say I don't think I've achieved ultimate success because I want to scale to a certain $1 million amount.
Right. Right.
Potentially
Got
billion
it.
dollar amount, right?
Right.
Then I believe I will have achieved ultimate success.
That's what I'm talking about. What would you tell entrepreneurs or business owners who are currently in that life is lifing aspect of being a business owner? And I know we talk about it often because one minute you're at a high, the next minute you're like, oh, I might, yeah, I might have
Yeah,
to go get a job or two.
yeah, yeah. I tell people to number one, take a break, right? Like take
Mhm.
some time to get your mind right, to really have that time to kind of digress and refresh and just have some mental clarity. Because
Right.
if you're in a moment of panic or if you're in a moment of depression or a moment of just, overwhelming thoughts,
Yep.
you're going to be trying to figure out just a survival tactic. right? And
Right.
survival tactics in business are not long-term tactics.
Right.
So again, if you take that break, you breathe, you take some time to figure out, maybe brainstorm or whatever, even if you only have 5 minutes to do it, take that 5 minutes, right? Because life doesn't stop. And honestly, take the time you need because life doesn't stop. You don't want to get burnt out. You don't
Right.
want to get so overwhelmed to where you stop believing in your own dreams and in your own self. You don't
Yep.
want to just give up because this particular thing happened. So, perseverance, courage, strength, like all the stuff that we tell other people a lot of times, like, girl, you can make it through this because of this and that. We gotta we gotta tell ourselves the same thing, right?
Right.
We have to, and just an example, like last year, it was just last year was just a wash for me. Like I lost my mom, and she was very sick she was hospitalized for quite a while, like a lot of the year. And so, to know that she wasn't coming home was like, oh my God, how am I gonna live my life now? Right. Like I got
Right.
a business, I'm owner operator, I don't have no employee, I don't have nobody to pick it up and run with it, right? But
Right.
I realized that I was dealing with this heavy grief, and that impacted my ability to move forward. So what did I do? I took an entire month off work.
Right.
I did it, and I had to, because I deal with people all day. And for me to be able to show up to deal with people, make my money, pay my bills, and do
Right.
all the things I need to regularly do, I had to have a break. Now, everybody's not in position to take a month, right? I understand everybody's not in position to do that. But the goal here is that you take a break. Do what you need to do to stop and refresh. Like I said, if it's 5 minutes and you just got time to run to the bathroom real quick because you just need to like step away and calm down, do that,
Right.
right? If you can go outside, get some fresh air, breathe it in, get some vitamin D through the sunlight, do that, right? Do whatever you
Absolutely.
got to do, but guess what? Don't stop. Don't let that be one of your your quote unquote solutions. Don't stop.
And that's brilliant because one thing as an entrepreneur, I have moments I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go be somebody's VP somewhere and I'm not going to deal with
Yep.
this. I can't. There is no taking a break is so crucial
Yeah.
because we're going all day, every day. Our brain is just on high function mode.
Yeah.
But
It
that
is.
break, even just taking a walk, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
huge, huge, huge fan of taking a walk.
Yep.
I'll sit outside, I'll walk, just like you said, to get some vitamin D and start to refresh how I look at my current situation.
Yep.
That is
Exactly.
so helpful.
Exactly. And sometimes you just need to do, not because like life brought something challenging, but sometimes our mind is just on 1,000 and we just have so many
Yes.
thoughts running through our head. Okay, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do that. We don't really manage our time appropriately, or we're procrastinating. So now we're just overwhelmed. You got to take a break. You got to stop. You got to breathe. You got to pause,
Right.
rethink, strategize,
Right.
make that a part of your strategy, make that important to
Seriously.
you, make that important to you.
Seriously. And you hit something I definitely want to touch on procrastination. I am the procrastination queen, right? I operate well under pressure. I operate high in chaos by choice. It doesn't mean it's great,
Right.
but I operate at a high level with procrastinating and in chaos. Can
Yep.
you explain why procrastination is not aligned with being an entrepreneur or business owner?
Yes. So, first of all, I think that I think statistics say like 92% of people, not just entrepreneurs, but people in general,
Yep.
procrastinate. So that means we're all
Yes.
competing with each other for like best procrastinator of the year kind of award, right? But it's very costly. It can be very costly, right? And so if you are owner operator, meaning you are the only one operating your business from start to finish
Yes.
and day to day and all that stuff, guess what? If there's certain tasks that need to be done in order to position you for achieving some sort of a contract, some sort of deal, a potential client relationship, and things like that,
Yep.
then you could hinder that because you waited too long, because you never got to it, because it was not a priority for you, right? And that's just like the one-on-one owner operator kind of impact
Yep.
that could happen. And sometimes when we procrastinate, we forget about things. The way that our brain works is very, like, our brains are so like its own thing, right? So If you're procrastinating and you're just keep pushing it off, pushing it off, pushing it off, by the time you even think you want to do it, half the time you can't even remember what you were supposed to do in the first place. So
That
now
part.
that can be costly, right? That
That
can
part.
cost some money, right? So it can be very costly. It costs you time and money. As an entrepreneur, it's very important to figure out a time management strategy to help you stop procrastinating. And maybe it's not even a time management strategy. You know, my degree is in counseling psychology, so I deal a lot with mindsets and stuff,
Yep.
brain and thought concerns and issues.
Right.
And sometimes it's not the ability to manage your time. Sometimes it's you're stuck in your own head, right? And you don't even, no matter how many calendars you have, no matter how many reminders you put, you're just not going to get to it because you're stuck in your head. Maybe
Yes.
you're stuck in fear. Maybe you're stuck in neglect, abandonment, some sort of unresolved trauma from a prior place, a prior workplace, a prior experience, right? So all of those things can impact your ability to move forward. And that's what procrastination does. It blocks you and stops you from moving forward if you let it. But you don't have to let
Right.
it, right?
Right.
You can figure
Absolutely.
out what the foundation is. What is that seed that was dropped, and how do I pluck it up and destroy it? Because I need to be able to move on. I really do.
Right. And I have to be able to function at a high level and
Yes.
not forget. And the fact that
Yep.
I forget stuff all the time, but I'm always operating to do one thing because, oh, I had to do it yesterday. And I'm like,
Yep.
how do I
Mhm.
hurry up and knock out these 15 different objectives that I have or goals and still forget half of them?
Right. Exactly. Because it wasn't a priority. So it wasn't even urgent. Like it wasn't even something at the top of your mind that for you mentally because of potentially because of another thought. Like
Mhm.
sometimes you just don't want to do it. Sometimes it's nothing
Yes.
else, but I just don't want
That's at my core. I just don't want to do it.
just don't like I just don't. So how do you still get it done then? You know what I mean? Like that's the other side of it. Like we can't leave it at, oh, I just don't feel like doing. I'm gonna stay in bed all day and not get
Right.
up and do nothing. Right. You could do that, but that's going to impact your business and your ability to move forward and reach your business goals. Or you could provide a solution to what you don't want to do and what you're not going to do. Right.
Right.
And what you're not going to do, make a list of all those things. And then on the other side of that line, put over here, what's the solution to this? Right. If
Mhm.
I'm not going to get to social media, because I'm terrible at my social media, I don't be on there like that. I don't have time. Like it's a lot of factors that I know what I should do. I teach
Right.
classes. I do all these things. I help all
You
these other
do it all.
right. And I tell other business owners to do it. But guess what? I don't do it for myself because one, I don't have time. By the time I'm done with
Right.
everybody else, I'm exhausted for me. So
Right.
you know what I mean. So what's the solution to that? Well, I had to hire a virtual assistant.
Right.
Best money I ever paid. Best solution, because not
Absolutely.
only does she provide a service for social media, but she provides a service for other things where I have need, right?
That
Where
frees up your
maybe,
space.
yes, because I do a lot of teaching and training, I have to create PowerPoints and things like that. Sometimes not creating them, sometimes just pivoting them because it's the same concept, but it just
Right.
needs to be distorted, or I mean, not distorted, but twisted a little bit for a
Right.
particular learning environment.
Right.
So I don't have to do those things anymore, right? I figured out a solution that worked for me, worked for my business budget, right? I figured out a solution. So again, I encourage everyone that deals with procrastination to figure out why you're procrastinating. That could be easy. It could just be I just don't want to do it. But then okay, go deeper. Why don't you want to do it? Is it really fear? You know, are you
Mm.
really afraid of success? Are you afraid of scaling, growing, making money? Like, did somebody tell you along the way that you wasn't gonna be nothing, you ain't gonna never do, and now you've actually
Right.
did and you got the whole imposter syndrome? Like, what is happening? What is happening to cause the procrastination? And then figure out the things that you just historically don't do or want to do
Right.
or can't get
Right.
to or don't do because you can't get to it because you don't have time, right? Create a
Right.
list. Create a
Right.
list of all those things and draw a line in the middle, and on the other side of that list, right under the category solutions. What
Okay.
could resolve my problems on this side? right?
Oh,
Because
I
you
got
still
my
need to get it
pen.
done.
Put my hold on, Dr. D.
Hello.
Let me write this down. I hope you guys are writing this down too. For those who are watching the replay, make sure you have your pen and paper because she's dropping gems.
I wish we had a whiteboard. I would just
I
put it all.
know. In action steps. She's dropping gems and action steps. Do not take this for granted.
Yes. And honestly, I think the action steps are where we fall short,
Yeah.
because a lot of times we know what we need to do. We've learned
Yeah.
it. We didn't sat in groups, cohorts, learning environments. We didn't sat one-on-one. We didn't spend hours. Think about that interpretation of hours you've spent not doing what you know you should do
Mm-hmm.
versus your hourly rate of
Mm.
getting paid.
Right.
Add up those costs. And I guarantee you missed the mark on a lot of money.
Oh, that just hit me in my chest. I don't like
Right?
that.
Sometimes, I mean, sometimes we need those visual aids
As
to
a
help,
reminder.
So if you spent 5 years attending classes and 8-week cohorts and all these things, think about all the time invested in that.
Yeah.
And think about your hourly rate, whatever that is. You're a consultant or something, you're making $100 an hour. Guess what? That's a lot of money you missed out on.
That you
Because
left on the table.
you took the class, you learned, you did all these things, but you still didn't take the actions necessary to
Oh,
complete it or to position you. Because in business, it's all about positioning. That's
right.
it.
Absolutely.
Everything comes down to positioning. You trying to get funding? What position are you in? You trying to get a grant? What position are you in? You trying to start a business? What position are you in? Trying to make sure your money is managed correctly? What position are you? In marketing? What position are you in? Everything's about positioning. Trying to get a contract? What position are you in? Right?
Right.
If you're not positioned appropriately, guess what? These things are going to go by the wayside quickly.
Oh, that leads me to my next question.
Mm-hmm.
What values do you prioritize in your business endeavors and how do they guide your decision making?
Yeah. So my number one value is integrity and honesty. Um, so those are my number two. So that was my top two. My values are honesty and integrity, and also quality over
Ooh,
quantity.
okay.
Um, and I say integrity and honesty because I've never enjoyed an experience where someone was dishonest and did
Mm-hmm.
not operate with integrity. That always made me either upset or it made me sad. It made me feel rejected, and all these things. I never want to do that, right? I've
Right.
learned from some experiences, even that I've had, that were either in my control or out of my control. But if you're honest and upfront with folks, that goes a long way. I tell
Right.
people all the time, to me, now this is just to me, not everybody, but in business, there's no emotion, right?
Absolutely.
Sometimes we get that twisted up a little bit where, oh, I'm not moving forward because so and so says she can't, she's not my friend no more. And she was my best friend and my business partner. Okay, well,
And
go
right.
revise your paperwork and refile that business as whatever it needs to be done as, right? So again, don't get so caught up in like the social emotional impact that
Right.
could come across through various business interactions, right? Because maybe somebody did not act honestly. Maybe somebody did not act with integrity, or maybe they were so numbers driven that the quality got reduced, right?
Mm.
I'm a big component of quality. I will pay a higher price for quality
Yep.
and for my time to be valued than I will for anything else, right?
Absolutely.
I'm at that point in my life. I'm just at that point in my life, right?
Absolutely.
Where, I could find a cheaper solution. However, if this is going to create the quality that I need, and not just quality in business, but quality of life, right?
Right.
Because some things can come at a high quality, but then it can create such a demanding presence from you.
Yep.
And then your quality of life is impacted from that point. There's no balance anymore. You're always being drawn to over here or what have you. So those are my top three values. And that's how I kind of blend them in, and sometimes they're hard conversations being honest with people. Matter of
Very.
fact, a lot of times they're hard conversations. Because I'm finding that a lot of people inherently want to hear what they want to hear, not necessarily what the truth
Absolutely.
is. So, again, that's speaking to the emotion of the person. You got to speak to the truth of the person, and the truth is in your heart. So, when you speak to the heart of the matter, right,
Mhm.
that's the truth. And that's not always the easiest pill to swallow.
How do we
So,
end conversations like that? Because a lot of times, like you mentioned, if we have a business partner or if we have a subcontractor that just isn't working out, but I truly adore you,
mhm.
how do I tell you, hey, we're done, but I love you anyway?
Yeah, it's just navigating that business relationship, right? Because
Hmm.
from the beginning, when we're putting on like friends, family, people we know, things like that,
Yeah.
when we're putting them on and stuff like that, is one piece of that puzzle that gets missed a lot of times is the fact that sometimes we don't put an agreement in place, and sometimes we don't kind of set the stage for what this relationship is going to look like.
Yep.
And that first I first encountered that when I was a leader at an organization, and I was hiring for a couple of positions, and I was able to hire someone I knew, and
Hmm.
but I knew this person from church. I didn't know them from a career setting, right? And so
Right.
before I even before the interview even happened, I let them know. I said, "Hey, if you end up getting this job, it's not up to me
Mhm.
ultimately, because of course it's panels and things like that, but
Right.
I can influence it. You know what I mean? But,
Absolutely.
if you end up getting this job, here's the thing. This is a business relationship. I will be your boss. That's
Yeah.
a different relationship than us just being peers in church. So I set
Yes.
the stage from the beginning, and I do that even with my clients. Like, because sometimes client relationships turn into friendships, which could turn into
Right.
other forms of doing business and things like that. And so we're still friends, even if the business aspect of it doesn't work
Mhm.
out. We could still be friends, right? So still, just a strategy to having that conversation is just keeping the lines clear up front, and then having those metrics. So, okay, if I put you on for this piece and you didn't produce what you agreed to produce, you didn't meet these expectations, it's
Yep.
no different than any other type of contract or employee employer relationship. If you don't
No.
meet these things, there's going to be another level of conversation had, and eventually that
Absolutely.
person might be gone, right? So if you're in business, it's important that you have a strategy similar, right? Now,
Right.
every method doesn't work in every situation, but where it comes down to money,
Hmm.
it comes down to, at the end of the day, this is your business and you're the one that has to report back, or you're the
Right.
one that has to be in compliance. Listen, there's no feelings in that. You have to do what you have to do. It doesn't have to be harsh, but you
Right.
just have to make a business decision.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Hmm.
Can you do me a favor and discuss how your business philosophy has evolved over time? And like what key lessons have you learned in this process?
Yeah, so my philosophy definitely evolved over time. Now my philosophy is work smarter and not harder. I've heard it like my whole life,
Yep.
but I've never really applied it until now, because I have done so much stuff and I was working so hard. I'm not the person that ever grew up where things were just handed to me, you know.
Hmm.
I've always had to work for it.
Right.
I had to like get a job to get a dress to go to prom. Like, you know what
Right.
I mean? Like that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So, my whole thought is hard work,
Hmm.
hard work. But now my thought is just work smarter and not harder. It's still hard work, setting the foundation and getting yourself positioned correctly, but definitely work smarter and not harder. What does smarter mean? That means creating space for automation,
Okay.
creating space for partners and collaborations,
Hmm.
right? That means creating space on your calendar for you. Block that time off for you. If
Okay.
you take 2 hours a week and just block the time off on your calendar and you go to the mall for them 2 hours,
Right.
I guarantee you it'll just help you out, right? Just
Hmm.
whatever you do. If you go walking at the park, walk your dog, whatever you do, but
Yep.
create that space, right? And so that's what nowadays working. smarter, not harder. When I was younger, like that was just the game. Like you just hustle, like you just out there doing what
Right.
you got to do, right? But now with the world of technology advancements and all these resources that we have right at our fingertips, we don't even have to work hard anymore.
Right. It's all
Quite
at our
frankly.
fingertips.
Exactly. I think about, I started my career right out of college, and I went into insurance and I did claims. And at that time, we did, if you were a claims rep in that particular company at that time, you did every sort of claims possible. Like
Mhm.
you did the car accident claims, you did the third party property claims, commercial claim. I mean, the everything, bodily injury, you just did everything, right? Now it's different. Now it's like they separated stuff. So when you come in, you only do a specific subset, right? It's
Right.
focused, it's specific, it's this, it's that.
Right.
And it's easier, it's smarter. Because guess what? If you're just dumped a mountain pile of various different things dealing with various different people, it's kind of like
Yes.
crabs in the bucket, right? Everybody's just trying to
Yes.
figure things out and survive.
And
That
then
is
you
stressful.
fold.
Yeah,
Yes, you fold.
you do. And that's why some career fields are so stressful. Either you have to pay really high wages,
Yes.
or you have to figure out, guess what? This is not contributing positively to my work-life balance. So I'm out because it's
Right.
too much stress, right?
Absolutely.
Or I can go over here where all I have to do is this one thing and get paid and do what I love to do and be good. My mind is clear and all that stuff, right? So
Yep.
it's important to work smarter, whatever that looks like for you. Figure it
Right.
out, but figure out something you can put in place to help you work smarter. And I guarantee technology is one of those things. Technology,
Absolutely.
just making a small tweak to how you manage your finances as a business owner by using an automated system versus you manually tracking or writing down in a book ledger. You know what I mean? Like some of the old school ways. And I get it. Some people are still stuck there. They love what they do and how they do it that way. But there are advantages to just kind of creating systems for automation that can make your life easy, especially if you're an owner operator. If you're an owner operator, you definitely should be applying some automation tools.
Ooh, don't yell. Don't yell. Because I'm like, ooh, I need to do that. Here's a big one for me. How do you balance ambition and contentment in as an entrepreneur? Because we get to a certain level and we're like, okay, I can cruise right here. Like,
Yeah.
okay. And then when we start to see finances dwindle, it's like, okay, let me jump back into hustle mode so I can get back to where I was. How do we balance that?
Yeah, I think the balance really comes in to play with being proactive and not reactive.
Mm,
um, because a lot of times the imbalance comes in because we're being reactive to something. Like you said, our finances start to dip, and then we're like, "Oh, I gotta figure it out. I might have to go get me a job, or I might have to do this and that." So, being proactive about it. So, if you know that you had $1 million contract to come in, and then 5 years later, you in between that year and 5 years later, you've had zero contracts to come in.
right.
There's like the writings on the wall there, right? So where are you going to get your income from, right? So really in year one of the contract, because when you
Mhm.
get the $1 million contract, those finances are already laid out for what
Right.
that's going to cover, right? And if you're using that to take care of your household expenses, pay yourself, do all these things, okay, now what? Right. So
Right.
really it's
Where do I
about
go
being
from here?
proactive. So I say start early on. That's why it's
Okay.
important to have those projections, to have those, have a business plan that'll project you out 3 to 5 years. Do some financial projections that'll project you out. Work with a financial advisor, things like that, because, set some things up to where if you want to achieve a place where you don't have to necessarily work or work hard
Right. Right.
because you got other things happening in the background that can support your finances and you're going to be fine, and that's
Mhm.
where you are thriving in that place. It still takes some proactive measures and actions to make that work, right? So
Yes.
I say be proactive and not reactive. And then the contentment just comes in when you feel like you have accomplished the things you've set out to do, right?
Right.
Like, okay, I've conquered A, so now I'm gonna go back and get this. right? I've conquered this level of education. Now what's next? Oh, I think I'm just gonna wake up and be a judge one day. So I'm gonna have to go back to school, right? Like
Right. Right.
so contentment comes from many
Mhm.
different forms. But
Absolutely.
when you feel like, okay, I've achieved what I set out to achieve, now what's next? That's how you know when it's time to really start considering, okay, is it time to scale? Maybe? Is
Mhm.
it time to break off and franchise? Is it time to just pivot a little bit? Maybe we focused here and we've conquered that. And maybe it's doing great. So maybe we want to stay there. Maybe it's starting to have a downturn. Well, you don't want to wait until it's down to zero, right?
Right.
You want to
Yeah.
start at the top. And usually that comes in, like I said, um, when you're really hyper focused on your financials
Yep.
and your market research data from your own company, right?
Mhm.
Because a lot of people get like social media and they do these analytics and stuff like that, but there's other forms of analyzing to see if your business is achieving what you're setting out to achieve, right?
Mhm.
So just having those proactive measures and not being reactive. React When you're reactive is too stressful.
It is. And you
It's
put yourself in a hole, and it's a
Mhm.
hole that you feel like you'll never be able to dig out
Yep,
yourself
yep.
out, I should
Hmm.
say. And then
Yeah.
you also go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah,
You absolutely do find
you
yourself
dig
in a hole.
yourself into a hole.
Mhm.
And then I also want to touch back on, you brought up a really good point about fearing success. So a lot of us say, hey, you know what? I want to be the rich auntie. That's my goal. That's
Yeah,
that is my life goal. I want to be the rich auntie. And I think it's scary.
it is
I
scary.
think it is mortifying when you think about the the potential that you could really get there. How do we overcome that fear?
Yeah, so a lot of that is just wrapped up into imposter syndrome, right? Like imposter syndrome really is like it's really taking you to this place in your mind that's fake. It's an imposter, right? And so I tell it like this. A lot of times people do have a fear of success, but what is your measure of success, right? And
Mm,
then what have you done to support your achievements towards success, right? Because
okay.
that's how you start tearing down the imposter in you that says, I'm really scared. I can't do this. I'm not qualified. I don't have what it takes. I really am no good, or I'm not this and that, what other people have said about me and have put on me, right?
Mhm.
So you have to start combating and overcoming those fears with the truth, which is the reality, right? I tell
Right.
people all the time, people are like, I don't feel qualified. I'm this, I'm that. I said, did you go to college? Did you get a degree in this? And where's your degree in? Oh, it's in this, which is something kind of similar or related to. And then I'll ask them, man, how many student loans you got? Because you
Right.
definitely paid for it. You definitely,
Right. You paid for it.
this
You're
ain't
here
no
for a
project.
reason.
This is fact. So
Right.
listen, you work hard. You either have experience in your career field, you may have experience in another field, you may
Mhm.
have background support, you may have relationships with people, you may have life experience, job experience, certifications, degrees, all kinds of things. You may even have a successful business by the world's terms and definitions of success. And we all still experience this thought of, is this real? Like, can I really be doing this? You know what I
Right.
mean? And so overcoming that really does take some mind shifting. It really does take, it's kind of like a learned behavior to pat yourself on the back and say, you know what? I am doing great.
Right.
I
Right.
am. It is absolutely okay to be successful. It's
Right.
absolutely okay for me to build partnerships with these particular places and achieve various goals with those partnerships. It's
Right.
absolutely okay. So you have to definitely speak positively over yourself and over those negative thoughts and over those fake thoughts. Remember, those thoughts are literally fake.
Right.
Literally, because they're just not truth, right? So you sit
Right.
up there telling yourself that you're not something that you've been doing for the last 10 years. How's that possible?
Right. It's so easy to get lost in the sauce, right? Like I'm supposed to be doing XYZ,
Hmm.
or imposter syndrome is a big one in comparison.
Yeah, comparison.
Comparison is
Oh my
a
gosh. Yeah.
big
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. And that's why it's important to be confident. I
Yeah.
think that a lot of where people kind of are misaligned is in their confidence, self confidence. As a business owner, as a professional, as just a person in life, when your
Okay.
confidence is not where it could be, then
Right.
guess what? You will be comparing yourself to someone else, but you're never going to be apples to apples to somebody, right?
Right.
You're never going to be the exact same as someone else. There's no duplicate. Like we don't have a duplicate, right? Like even twins
Right.
they have some things that are just slightly different to
Yep.
make sure that even if they're just identical twins, they still have a different name. They still have a different presence, right? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So, sometimes it's really that self-confidence. And for a lot of us, especially those that come from like the underserved type of populations,
Yep.
people of color, women, people that have historically experienced challenges because of a specific thing,
Yep.
right? Those things have just slowly over the years can just hurt your confidence. You can be
Yep.
everything needed to meet the qualifications of a job and still not get the job. You can
Right. Right.
be everything. You can be everything. You can have $1 million in the bank and still not get a loan from the bank for $10,000,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
you can still get denied. But those are the things that absolutely come to try to destroy our confidence. But guess what? That's where we stop and think, wait a minute, I'm more qualified than half this leadership team.
Right.
Let me figure out
Right.
how to go and capitalize on what they were trying to capitalize on me. Because at the end of the day, they're only going to use you to fulfill their bottom line.
Absolutely.
And where's the loyalty? Because tomorrow they can just come cut you when they feel like it.
No loyalty. Let me
Right?
make sure I say that there
So
is no
that's what
loyalty.
I'm saying. So you have to build your confidence and know who you are and stand on that. Because guess what? That's your truth. That's not the fake stuff. Don't come in here talking about you are, the replica of Oprah. Like,
Right.
be
Right.
you. Like,
Right.
be you. That's why people want you. That's why they want to see you. That's why they want to see your brand. Because it's you.
Exactly. And I'm going to say it. She said it. Stand on business.
That's
Stand
it.
on business.
That's it.
That's what you need to do
That's it.
because there are
So
so
many
many
people, yeah,
opportunities out here.
I'm telling you, and so many people have dealt with rejection to
Hmm.
so many different degrees and in so many different ways, shapes, and forms, that it has negatively impacted their ability to move forward. Matter of fact, it's so traumatic. It
Yes.
plants a seed of
Very.
trauma. It plants a
Very.
layer of PTSD, even depending on what the experience was
Mm.
and how it impacted that person. And that's nothing nobody can take away from you because it happened. It
Right.
happened. But now you need the tools and the resources to just overcome that. Right. And so when you really think about it, a lot of people in business nowadays, when you really look at it, a lot of people are dealing with mindset.
Mm.
Because guess what? Many people, remove business owner hat and title out the way,
Okay.
people have experienced childhood traumas,
Yep.
adult traumas, all kinds of things have happened throughout life. But when we don't deal with those seeds back
Yep.
then, right, they just continue to grow. And now we have this big tree, which is our adult self. We have this big tree
Hmm.
with all these limbs and all these leaves branching off of the rejection and branching off of the neglect and branching off of the abandonment. Now we're misaligning ourselves because our confidence is shot, right?
Right.
We're always trying to people please. We're always trying to be perfect, right? We're
Every single time.
procrastinating. We're in fear of success, right? Because of a prior experience. So you really have to stand on business. You got to stand on truth. You got to stand on all of it. You got to stand on who you are and show up as you. Don't try to show up as me because you're not going to be me. And guess what?
Right.
I'm not going to be you, and I don't want to be. It's hard enough being me. I'm trying to be somebody else.
That part, it is hard enough being me.
I'm trying to be somebody else. Like it just don't work.
I don't
So
need any extra stress.
do your part and build you up, and
I
then
love
you can go out there and be all you can be.
I love that. So you have to give me your top two career affirmations.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna ask me that too. And I've been trying to think of these things, right? I've been trying to think of
Right.
more affirmations,
Right. And
Um,
don't think that they have to be like, oh, I am going to be XYZ. No, these are things that I say to myself in the morning. These are things that I
yes.
say to clients. What would they
Yeah.
be?
Yeah. I think my number one is um, I am going to complete everything on my task list today.
Ooh. Say
That's
that one more time. We all could hear that. We need that.
that's my number one. I am going to complete everything on my task list for today. Not my
Yes.
task list tomorrow, because I can't think that
No.
far. My task list today. That's my number one. And then my number two is take breaks as often as I can.
Take breaks as often as I can.
Hmm.
Okay. I
And
like those
then
too.
I put like a sub dash under it to keep my mind sharp.
I know that's right. Oh, to keep your mind sharp.
Like under the kind of taking my breaks often. I kind of
Mhm.
highlight that underneath it.
That's so important. These are three that all of us need to write down somewhere, especially business owners. I am going to complete everything on my task list today. Like you said, I
Today.
can't think about tomorrow, can't think about the end of the week. I have to think about today, right now. How am I going to optimize each hour that I
Mhm.
decide to work?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Some stuff came up yesterday and I was like, "Ooh, I need to put it on my calendar to do this tomorrow." You know,
Yes,
wake up, do this at 10 o'clock, whatever. If it ain't on my calendar, I'm gonna forget.
it's not going to
It's just
happen.
gonna happen that way. I'm gonna forget. And by the
It's
time
not
I
going
think
to
about
happen.
it, I'm gonna be in motion somewhere and I'm probably gonna forget again. So,
Yes,
you
that's
know,
honest and that's realistic.
yeah, I've learned that multitasking no longer works for me. That's what I've
I know
learned.
that's right.
So I have to
Same.
focus on the now. I have to focus here. And I was talking to my therapist and she asked a good question. Has multitasking ever worked for you when you really think about it? And I was like, man, that's a good question because task wise, yes, I felt like I was
Right.
getting 50 million things done. But
Right.
focus wise, no, because you're
No,
really not getting things done to the best of your abilities because you're not focused in on one area versus the other. So, you know,
I
I
love when you have a good therapist. It makes a
me
world of
too.
difference.
Me too. And that's a part of that balance, right? Because life happens. And I do encourage folks to, do what you got. It could be a coach, it could be a mentor,
Mhm.
it could be a life coach, it could be whatever. But
Yep.
have someone that you can lean on that is, in that professional space that can give you some good mental nuggets. It's
Yes.
very helpful. We all need that space to kind of offload and get some clarity. So I definitely support any sort of counseling, therapies,
Yep.
coaching, all of the above. Do what you got to do.
Absolutely.
Do what you got to do.
Absolutely. I love that. As we get closer to wrapping up, give our audiences your best advice for entrepreneurs and business owners in this basically in this crazy world. We see so many different things. What would be your best advice to us?
Yeah. So my best advice is to focus on your goals.
Okay.
Focus on your goals. When you remain steadfast, focused on your goals, no matter what's happening in the world around us, you're
Okay.
still going to be working towards achieving what you set out to achieve.
I love that. I love that.
So and be patient, right? Because sometimes these things unintentionally impact us and our ability to complete on our timeline. But
Mhm.
the right timing is always the right timing. So focus on your goals. Don't give up on yourself. Don't throw in the towel. Persevere. Hang in there. And again, focus on those goals and work towards them. And the second half of that really is to follow the action, create, if you don't have them, create the action steps necessary. And then if you do have them, follow them, pivot,
Okay.
be flexible, be adaptable, all these things, right? Because
Yes.
sometimes we have a business goal, but the way that we've strategized and aligned ourselves, it's just not possible to reach it that way or to
Absolutely.
achieve it in our time frame that way. So, give yourself some grace.
I love that. Oh, I love that. Be flexible and give yourself grace.
Hmm.
So many things that all of us forget to do very often.
Absolutely.
I really
I tell all
appreciate
this
that.
stuff to myself.
Yeah, we need to hear it and we need to be reminded of it, especially those of us who are in the grit and grind of entrepreneurial ventures, being a business owner, and you feel by yourself. So,
Yep.
making sure that you remind yourself of these things, focus on your goal is the biggest one.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
I
Definitely.
really want to encourage everybody to follow to follow Dr. Danae on LinkedIn as well as TikTok and Facebook because she has some really great gems and videos. She recently posted one on imposter syndrome, and that one got us all going. We felt a certain kind of way. And then if you have any events or anything coming up, please feel free to share. I would love to share that on this platform.
Yeah, so the only thing I have coming up next is I have some certification programs that will be released. These certification programs are designed to help people in either career or personal goals. They are certifications that are you take your coursework and then you have a proctored exam, and you can get college credits for them, all kinds of things. But they're in different fields: project management, career and technical training,
Mhm.
entrepreneurship and small business. And these certifications aren't like government certifications. These are
Right.
career business related certifications to just kind of put that extra stamp on your resume, on your business resume, or even to position you right for a contract or something of that nature. So stay tuned. That's coming up. You can check out more information about what's to come, or you can sign up for my newsletter here on LinkedIn. I dropped the
Yes.
newsletter, but you can subscribe to it here. But because LinkedIn only gives you like a limited number, I do have my own subscription list. You can go to my website, www.djsbusinesssolutions.com.
Perfect. I will make sure to drop it in the comment when the video is live so people can follow you and tag you, and make sure you guys leave recommendations on both of our profiles to
Yes.
share how this episode hit you, what you pulled from it, and the gems that Dr. D threw at you that I hope you took with you because she dropped major gems. As
Yes.
always, it is a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me on my episode 2 of Job Snatch Her
Yes.
series.
Well,
And look
congratulations on this.
more.
This is
Thank
phenomenal.
you. Thank
This
you
is
so
phenomenal.
much. I'm so
Yes.
juiced. I have started off on a high note. This is
Yes.
amazing. I've had amazing guests thus far, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited for the
Thank
for the
you.
remainder of the series. So great job. Great
Thank
job.
you
Just
so
wanted to give
much.
you your flowers too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right,
Yeah.
LinkedIn, you know what to do. Hit the follow button and make sure that you leave us recommendations.
Bye
Until next
everyone.
time.